Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Paul from the Money Mob, and this is the Money Mob Black Business Radio. Oh no, not radio, Black Business Podcast, uh, weekly podcast. And us here and the Money Mob, all we specialize and make sure we support our businesses, and our weekly podcast is there to really enhance us in and enhance our community, get in our community to realize and see some of the great people, leaders in our community that are doing some fantastic things, within within that. Now, for those of you who are unaware of what we do within the Money Mob, our main claim to fame is the actual Money Mob experience, where we actually mob businesses, and basically what we do is this. Businesses are usually referred to us, and we visit the businesses per se. If those businesses actually pass our criteria, we then mob those businesses. Now, what do you call mobbing? Basically, we literally descend on a particular business on a day and time. And it could be 10 people, it could be 110 people, but we literally concentrate on mob that business. Now, each person must spend £10 per person at that particular business. And in that way, we give an injection of cash to that particular business, as well as promoting and marketing, because as I said, in regards to getting people down there, we usually we use social media, we use radio, we use television to actually now garner and get that kind of fervor that will then get our people to support in mass. So that's what we usually do. And as I said, we also have a business arm, of which the Money Mob podcast is a part of it, but we've also do radio. We had it for the last 2 years. We had a radio program called the Money Mob Black Business Radio Talk Show. And as I said, hopefully you will see us on the airwaves soon again. So we are broadcasting from Impact Brixton, and Impact Brixton is a Black-owned, conscious-driven co-working space in the heart of Brixton. Now, this particular space offers a place to register, a register address. It also offers, a business address, offices, hot desking. You have an event space here, meeting rooms, and also podcasting rooms, of which I am in one of them, as well as many more. Now, their plan is really ambitious, and I love the plan, because literally over the next few years, what they aim to do is to support businesses, thousands of businesses and people, to realize their passion and to impact the broader communities through their space. And they're looking at mass networking, they're looking at educational programs, as well as events. Now, if you are, if you've heard that and you're interested in becoming a member and, and being a part of their Impact Brixton experience, please make sure you contact them and use our name, Paul from the Money Mob, as a contact name, and you will get a 20% discount on membership. So that's basically that in regards to my introduction. And now I want to introduce you to our next guest. This lady, I have known this lady, oh my goodness, at least 25, maybe even more, maybe 30 years. She is someone who is dear to my heart, a real soldier in regards to, doing what she does. And I have been and wanted to interview her for a long time. It has been a real pleasure and a privilege to actually have this lady on our podcast. So I want to introduce to Sister Delia Muhammad. Good evening.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I am fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good
You
so
look
far. I'm
well.
good.
You look well. You look well.
Thank you.
So look, please, just for the viewing audience, please just let them know, number one, who you are and what you do.
Well, as my brother said, my name is Delia Muhammad. I am a former doula. I am a qualified midwife. I am a psychotherapist. I keep calling myself a physiotherapist, but I'm a psychotherapist. I'm also a VBAC practitioner. But right now, my aim and where I'm walking, the road that I'm walking now, is a VBAC coach and also a podcast host.
Wow.
Um, the podcasting is on the my website, sorry, which is www.pregnancy-without-fear.com. You can go on there and listen to any of the podcasts that are on there at the moment. It's to inspire, to empower women who are thinking about getting pregnant, who are pregnant. So yes, that is my role at the moment. There's quite a few, and also deliamuhammad.com as well on Facebook.
All right, fantastic, fantastic. Now, I've got to ask you the first question before I get into anything. What is VBAC?
VBAC is vaginal birth after a cesarean. And now we have many women who have had cesarean sections without being able to have the opportunity to actually have a vaginal birth. So there are many women out there who strive and are determined and dream and desire to have a vaginal birth.
Absolutely. So, I mean, all right. So you're in the business of birth. How has business been going? How have things been going during a period which is in truth unlike any period in our history? How has it been for yourself?
And like you said, it's an unlike this time has never been experienced before by any of
Indeed.
us. And the COVID has affected a lot of women who are expecting because each hospital has its rules and regulations. And
Mhm.
so naturally, when things occur in a pregnancy, a woman would like to know she could just go in and see someone. That's not the case now. She has to phone and find out as and when she can go in. And if she has to go in, it more likely will be via ambulance or her partner or husband driving her to the hospital, to the emergency room.
Okay, wow. And one thing I've been noticing as well is that a lot of the surgeries are now online surgeries. So is it a situation that clients or customers or people come to you? Do you also have to now see them remotely?
Yes,
Okay.
there are a lot of mothers who need breastfeeding support. And so I'm now doing that service online. A lot of mothers in the first lockdown, there were a lot of women who couldn't get anyone to come and visit them because we weren't allowed to have anyone come and visit. A
Mm.
lot of isolation, a lot of quarantine. So you had women who had newborn babies and couldn't get any support. They would get advice, but it wouldn't be the same unless somebody was actually there with them, where they could see them face to face. The woman, the consultant or the supporter would be able to then assist her with a baby.
Mm.
Whereas now it's online.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you this question. In fact, I wanted to ask you this from a long time, but I wanted to ask you what was the inspiration behind the whole of this, the business of birthing.
It was my neighbor. And
Wow.
it's funny because every time I speak about this, I laugh because it was just so out of the blue. She was having a fourth child and her husband couldn't reach to the hospital in time. And so she came to me and just asked me just to come and assist her. And we went and she lay down and she was laboring and she was covered. And the midwife, very arrogant, said, oh, you're not going to have your baby now. I'm going to go into my office. Call me when you're ready.
Wow.
He left us with a student midwife, which in at that time you weren't supposed to do, but she did. And it turned out that the mother said to me, Dee, I feel like I want to push. So I'm thinking it's going to be like, you know what you see on the films where you just see people, ah, ah. So I'm waiting for her to do all this noise and make up nothing. About half an hour later, I said to the student midwife, can you just check? Because she was covered up to her waist. And she pulled the sheet back. There was a baby.
Whoa.
The baby was there. Baby had not made a noise. The mother didn't even know that the baby was born.
Whoa. Wow.
Because it was their fourth, the baby just slipped out. And the
Wow.
baby was underneath the sheet, fast asleep. Now
Mm.
the student midwife panicked because all she thought was, oh my gosh, this baby's dead. And ran to go to the emergency button at the other side of the room. All the things that are in the room were on wheels. So she's there trying to hang on, trips and slips and knocks herself out underneath. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Knocks herself out underneath the sink. So I'm looking at the mother's looking at me, and we're saying to each other, is this for real? And then I had to get up and go and hit the emergency button because we now had an unconscious student midwife.
Oh,
And then we're hearing like, you know, like a herd of bulls coming down because obviously they must have thought something had gone wrong with the birth.
mm.
And we said, no, baby's fine. It's your student midwife that you've got to look after.
Wow.
That was the beginning. And then she started introducing me to her cousin. She had a cousin and a sister who were both pregnant. And it just went on from there. Just
Wow.
went on
So,
from
I
there.
mean, okay, so all right, you've had the experience, all right, which to me that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, so as you kind of went on to the next birth, you saw this as it was you had an
Calling.
a-
It was just the calling. From that birth, I knew what I was supposed to do from
wow,
that birth.
wow,
Anything before that, it, I mean, it didn't even enter my head.
my
It
good,
didn't even enter my head. Birth, pregnancy didn't enter my head. Other than me having my own children, did not enter my head at all.
wow, wow. And obviously, without giving too much away, I mean, how long was that experience? How long ago was that?
1992, 93.
Close to 30
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah.
My goodness.
And I was at his son's birth.
Wow.
Yeah, he asked me to be there.
Wow. 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 Wow.
And his mother, who was 50, had twins.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah,
goodness me.
yeah.
Wow.
She wanted too much. She wanted one more child, and the situation here was so bad for her that she went back home to Ghana
Wow.
and got everything done there, and then came back here.
Wow, that's it. Wow, wow.
Yeah,
Serious.
yeah,
So, I mean, and go, again, that's a very, very kind of serious thing. I mean, you're talking to about, women, in their 50s. Usually,
yes.
especially over here, you hear, oh my God,
And the
no.
menopause. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of women who are in their 40s now that are having babies,
Yes, indeed.
whether
Indeed.
whether IVF or just naturally conceiving, but they're having babies.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. So, I mean, all right. And another thing I wanted to ask you, all right, and I know you probably won't even have a figure, but I mean, but I want our audience to get an idea of who I'm talking to. How many births, roughly, have you actually seen from, beginning to end?
About between 1,005 to 2,000.
Wow. Again, say that slow.
Between 1,500 and 2,000.
My goodness. Wow. And in regards to like VBAC verbs, how many of those have you seen? I've been a part of.
Right. It's funny because the first VBAC birth was, I think, in 93, 94, possibly. Um, and she was told by the doctor that her and her baby would die.
My goodness. Wow.
But
And
her child is alive and well, and
live
so
and
is
well.
she,
Indeed. Wow.
you know.
Wow. My goodness. And then that literally led you into the VBAC experience.
It did.
Okay. So let us know about the philosophy of your brand and your business, and just let people know what's the philosophy behind it.
Well, the philosophy behind it is to really give as much information, support, and guidance
Mm-hmm.
to women who would like to be pregnant, women who are pregnant, and how they can prepare themselves for childbirth. And so that's why I mentioned the podcast, because Pregnancy Without Fear is all about interviewing health professionals in different
Oh,
genres.
okay.
So masseurs, people who do massaging, um, anyone who is a psychotherapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, a nutritionalist, excuse me, anyone who's in the nutrition field, so that women can then understand what these individuals do. Because sometimes, even when you're pregnant, you hear about a psychologist, you hear about nutritionalists, but you don't really know what they do or how you can approach them, and that they are approachable.
Mm-hmm. And
And so
and the psychologist, is that in reference to, okay, well, maybe postnatal depression, or is it just
in pregnancy,
that?
from pregnancy right the way through, because women who are pregnant can also suffer from depression or have some form of mental health issue. So it's not just after a birth, it can be while they're pregnant as well.
Okay, I understand. I understand. So how long has your the podcast been going? The actual business been going?
Pregnancy Without Fear has actually been going for about a year.
Okay.
And I've been podcasting since
Yes.
all that time
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And Pregnancy Without Fear is funny because a lot of people do ask me, what do you mean by that? Do you mean that women aren't going to be fearful? And I say to them, no, it's not that they're not going to be fearful. There is always fear because it's an unknown entity. A woman is pregnant and she doesn't know what's going on inside, and she has no control over it. So we can't say that a woman doesn't have fear. What we can say is we would like to minimize your fear by educating you, supporting you, guiding you, advising you. And the podcasts help with that. And I have a lot of mothers who internationally, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, India, Pakistan, who listen to these podcasts, and they'll come back to me and say, that subject was really good. It really helped me. So, it's not just doing it for the sake of doing it, it's doing it and sending it out there to women all over the world. So that way they, because we have, I also support a lot of VBAC mothers internationally as well. And I'm in a lot of VBAC groups, on WhatsApp groups.
Right.
And a lot of these women don't have a clue about how to prepare because their doctors or the midwives over there do not allow VBAC. It's a once a cesarean, always a cesarean. And so you'll have women having 3, 4, 5 children, all by cesarean.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And there's two other questions I want to ask. One, is the actual, I mean, I probably, it's an obvious answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Is this process dependent on what kind of situation you are financially, or is this does this just affect a particular segment of the community, just give us an idea in regards to that.
Well, it varies because you have mothers or women whose husbands will pay for whatever guidance they think, because if they really don't know and they don't want their wives or their partners to go through too much hiccups, they will come to me and say, look, I need your help, or we need your support, or we need your guidance. What can we do? And so that's one area. Then you've got another area where people don't have all the money, or don't have some, and only have some of the money, or can only pay a certain amount. It does vary, and I always go by their budget. What's your budget? And then from there we can negotiate.
Of course.
Some couples are even willing to pay incrementally. So it'd be, if you're with them from pregnancy 4th month and they've got 5 more months to go, they will pay you on a monthly basis up until baby's born. So it does vary.
Okay. And for those, again, I'm going to ask these obvious questions. And the next obvious question is, what is a doula?
A doula is a female who, she may be trained and not be a mother. She may, more likely, the majority of doulas are mothers. Okay. So they've experienced birth in one way or another, and they then get trained. They join organizations, charities, etc., who teach you or train you in doulaing, and also support and be mentors for you. So a doula is someone who is there for the pregnant woman, supports her, guides her, and is there for her at any time, will attend appointments with her, scans with her, etc., preparing her mind and her body to be able to birth. Now, what I really wanted to just say to you is, I'm no longer a doula. I am now not just a birth educator, not just a consultant, not just a VBAC practitioner, not just a psychotherapist. I'm also mainly a podcast host. That is where my niche is, even though I have deliamuhammad.com as well. That's where my services lie. My website is being done at the moment, redone in relation to all my services as well, because I had to adjust them now that the COVID has really changed things for people. But yeah, I am a former doula, and I'm also a mentor for many doulas as well, who come to me and want to get to know how and when, where and why in relation to their jobs with their clients. So yes, I'm happy to do that too.
Fantastic. And before I get to the last few questions, I mean, you, as I said, you have a client list, and I think you alluded to it already, that is literally all over the world, isn't it?
All over the world. I connect with, I don't know how many women, also on Facebook as well, because a lot of mothers on Facebook have connected with me in relation to pregnancy without fear, and listen to the podcast to be able to empower them and make them feel more confident in their pregnancy and making them look forward to childbirth. So deliamuhammad.com is the website for anyone who would like my services. But if, I mean, at the moment, now that the website is down, they can still email me at Delia Muhammad, delia@deliamuhammad.com, if they want my services from there.
Okay. So what are we looking at plans in regards to the future? What's your future plans?
Oh wow, it's really for me to what I'm aiming for now, because at the moment the podcasts have been national. I really want to be international now. So I want to start communicating with health professionals in other parts of the world and getting to interview them as well.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. And you know, I wanted to ask you, what would be the tips that you would give to someone who is kind of looking to embark on a similar journey as yourself? What would be the three main things that you would tell them that they would really need to actually think about before now taking this path?
I think the very first thing is they have to look at, if they are mothers, looking at their own birth experiences and asking themselves, was it traumatic? Or how did it affect me? Because I've spoken to a couple of doulas who were really radical, and they were radical based upon their experience.
Right.
And it kind of sunk into their work. And when a woman would say in her pregnancy, oh, I'm not going to take anything. And then when she goes into labor, she wants everything. And the doula is saying, oh no, you don't need to take anything. You can't be doing that. You know, whatever the woman has decided to do, work with her, support her in that. It doesn't mean that she's doing it wrong. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean she's failed. That is what her intuition tells her. And so we should go with that intuition, because possibly it could actually end up being successful in the end anyway. So definitely look at yourself if you are a mother in relation to that. Number two is having patience as well, because another doula that I spoke to was saying, oh, I just can't take it. How long is it going to take for her to have a baby? And I'm saying, but this is the whole point, isn't it? You don't know when she's going to birth.
Exactly.
So if you're not patient with her birthing, then I don't think birth or being a doula is really the road you should be going down.
Indeed, I absolutely understand. I understand that. So again, I mean, I know you've mentioned it before, but please, again, let our viewers know where we can contact you.
Um, Email me at Delia at, I always say at Delia at Delia Muhammad, MUHAMMAD.com. You can listen to my podcasts on pregnancy-without-fear.com. You can go to Instagram and follow me on Instagram at Pregnancy Without Fear. And Delia Muhammad also at on Facebook.
Fantastic, fantastic. And to those who are watching, we will look to give you the website, email addresses, and what have you on our description in regards to this show. So make sure you look out in regards to that. And the last question I want to ask you, Delia, is this: if you were given one wish, and it's a wish in regards to the Black community, what would that one wish be?
You asked me this question, and I still don't have an answer because there's so many. Definitely educate yourselves, because that is something that is needed. I think when it comes to the Black woman and women in general, it's understanding who you are. I have got a couple of podcasts that I've done based upon hormones, you know, because I honestly feel that the woman, the female, really still doesn't understand herself. And we get people telling her, oh, you're hormonal. It's hormones, it's hormones. And yes, it is, because we are hormonal. We've been created that way for a specific reason. And that is to be creators, to have children. But if we don't understand the hormones within ourselves, then we can be all over the place.
Indeed.
And, you know, individuals will look at us, especially the male, and think, oh, it's got to be your hormones. Especially if she's coming to a cycle, you know, she gets moody and she gets kind of off the track in certain instances, and then that will be told, you know, the label is, oh, it's her hormones. So I think that is something that needs to be looked at. So with the Black community, it's not just about being Black, it's not just about being male or female, it's also about understanding how you function
Indeed.
mentally, physically, biologically, hormonally.
Okay. Well, Delia, it has been a pleasure. I knew that it was going to be a informative interview, and I wasn't wrong. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me and
No
inviting me.
problem. No problem, no problem. And for our viewers, I want you to make sure that because this will go out on our YouTube channel, and please make sure you like, you share, you comment, and most importantly, you subscribe to the channel. We want to get this one out to the public as much as possible, because I think it's a really important one for a very important time. And as I said, please make sure you listen out to the Pregnancy Without Fear podcast, and we will also look to send the details out in regards to that as well. So with that, I want to call it a close. And again, I want to thank you again, Delia,
Thank you.
coming on. And for those of you to make, you always, I always end by making sure you all know that, look, you must support Black business. Please support Black business. Please support the Money Mob, because it is the future of Black economics. And with that, we call it a close. Take care. Have a good evening. Bye.